Hi, I'm Craig Farrell, the Executive Director of the West Bend Area Chamber of Commerce, and I'm here today with quite a large group on this chilly morning. Kathleen Fisher, who's the Executive Director of Family Promise. You've got quite an event going here today. You want to tell us about it?
Sure, I'd love to. So good morning and welcome. Thank you to everyone who came today. There's a great number of you out there who have supported Family Promise over the years. We have board members and friends. We have Josh Oman, who's our county administrator, Bob Gannon, our state representative. Matt Furno was huge in our efforts here. We have a few people who'd like to say a few words that have helped supported this mission over the last year and a half. First, I'd like Lori Prescott, who's our Vice President of the Board of Directors for Family Promise, and also she helped lead the Single Shelter Council. Here's Lori.
Thanks, Kathleen. Hi, everyone. Hope you can hear us. I just wanted to thank my fellow Family Promise board members for all their support and their vision in helping us get to this day, extending our mission to include individual men and women as well as families. I also wanted to thank our Singles Shelter Council and just recognize those members. So if you could bear with me as I go through the list, hopefully you can hear me. Mark Baldwin, Mike Bladorn, Jay Fisher, Matt Furno, Sue Garvey, Carl Glintz, Wendy Heather, Tina Hochstetter, Christopher Kuczynski, Sarah Matchow, Chief Kenny Moyler, Francie Stone, Tim Schmidt, Angela Swinehart, Kathleen Christensen Fisher, and Paul Bissett. And now I'm going to hand it over to Tim.
No,
I'm sorry, Ken.
Well, make up your mind. First of all, can you hear me without the mic? Perfect, because I hate using these.
Okay, up a little bit so the TV can get it.
Oh, so the TV can hear me.
Right.
You're actually being recorded right now.
But I want the other people to hear me. All right. About 7 years ago, community leaders, business leaders got together. The Homeless Coalition in Washington County was formed. They had 4 goals, and I'm sorry, I should memorize them, but I'm going to double check. One of them was a homeless shelter. The other 3 were community awareness, permanent housing, and supportive services, and they all go hand in hand. We started the community awareness, brought awareness to people that I don't think ever realized Washington County had a homeless problem until you walk the trails and find people sleeping in the parks. Or we go to an abandoned building and find someone sleeping there or trying to hide out there for the night. As I look out, I see a lot of people with coats and jackets on. Actually, I think it's pretty pleasant today, but for some it's cool. Think about last night when it got down to 40 degrees. We got up, closed our windows, and went back to bed, put an extra blanket on or whatever. Think about it when it gets down into the teens or single digits. The homeless don't have the option to put the extra blanket on or to close a window because they're sleeping out in the elements. So when we got together at the Homeless Coalition years ago, we recognized and realized that in order to get to our ultimate goal, which was to permanent housing and to eliminate homelessness. Can you quiet those people up? Okay, we want to keep them working, so I got to talk louder. That what we wanted to do was to get them off on the right foot. For several years, we had homeless people not just being out in the elements. We tried apartments. We tried to give some emergency shelter to them, but with that, we had no supervision, no management. And so in order to make homelessness, in order to get to our ultimate goal of permanent housing and to eliminate homeless, we know we have to have an emergency shelter. We have to get people where we can get follow-up supportive services, which is one of our other goals with the Homeless Coalition. So with the breaking of ground here, homeless services, emergency shelter, we'll get them their support services. The apartments will also get people a transitional living until we can get them some permanent housing. So Craig, I just talking to him, we should have this up by Thanksgiving. So all the pressure's on him now. I want to thank, first of all, the man standing behind me for the yeoman's work in the fundraising, because when we had this idea, for those of us that are in government work, you know, we always think it's easy to raise money. Well, until you have Craig for a mayor. We thought it was easy to get money, but we know how tight it is. And throughout government, we know with fundraising right now, not easy, so Tim brought forward. We had the idea to get this shelter up. but we needed the fundraising, and so I think Tim's the next speaker, right?
Yeah.
So Tim, thank you. And
Thanks, Chief. Great, thanks a lot, Chief. As Chief said, as well as Kathy asked me to help fundraising, and I have to admit I was a little bit nervous about that, but we put together a pretty good program, and I'd like to call out a few of the folks that stepped up right away and said yes. Yeah, so mostly this is for the TV, and if I scream into the mic, then it's going to mess up the phone. So you just have to really focus on my voice, read my lips. Delta Defense, Greater Milwaukee Foundation, Home Funds, Prescott Family Foundation, Salvation Army, Schlegel Foundation, Stone Foundation, St. Vincent de Paul, United Way, Washington County, West Bend Community Foundation, West Bend Mutual Insurance, WIDA, and the Ziegler Family Foundation. So now those of you who are around fundraising, you're probably thinking, well, wait a minute, that sounds like all the same people that donate to everything. And you're right. And so thank you to all those folks. Here's back to Kathy. Oh, well, here's our Mayor, Craig Sedonico.
Morning, guys. I'm wearing a couple of hats today, Mayor of West Bend and then also President of American Construction Services. We've got the pleasure of building the facility behind us. And in all seriousness, the construction piece of this is kind of the easy part. It's getting the passion together, the awareness, all of you folks, the list of donors that Tim just mentioned. That's the hard part. Very often, and Ken mentioned it a little bit just a few minutes ago, when are we going to be done? It's very often the first question that a customer will ask us. My typical answer is take the governmental approval process and double that. So the construction piece is really only 50% of the project. In this case, we had several extra layers of government to navigate, from a public bidding process through Washington County owning the land, the normal city process, and I would say it was seamless, roughly seamless. The partnership between Family Promise and the local government entities was pretty amazing. The partnership that the city of West Bend has with Washington County helps projects not only like this, but helps the community all around. So it's exciting. Thanksgiving is a little bit of a stretch, but shortly after Christmas, we think sometime in January of 18, we should be all back together doing a ribbon cutting and welcoming folks into the Family Promise Center. Kathy?
All right, so thank you, honestly, all of you who are here, standing up here, and all of you standing out there here to support our project. In all seriousness, I have one last thing that I want to mention, and it comes to the naming of the building here. Family Promise of Washington County will be the owner and operator of the facility, but we needed to name it something that we could refer to when people called us for help. If a single guy calls us and he's at risk of homelessness, we need to have a name for the building that we're sending them to. So we can't necessarily say Family Promise of Washington County because we kind of already have the Promise Center, right? So our staff and our homeless coalition and their single shelter council and the board came together and we thought about a handful of different names, but at the end of the day it landed on the name of a gentleman who's near and dear to my heart, and I've had the opportunity to get to know and love over the last 7 years since I've gotten involved in homelessness, and his name is Carl Gluns. Carl Gluns is a gentleman who has given his life up for dedicated his life to serving the needy and the poor in our community and those who need our help, and we thought Carl's Place is a nice name for people to go to when they're at risk of homelessness, and so we are affectionately referring to our new homeless shelter here for singles as Carl's Place on water. So it'll be Carl's Place, and honestly. Carl, do you want to say a few words?
Just want to make one mention. In February of 2015, Josh Showman and I met, and Josh opened the door for a possibility of a site for the homeless shelter on county grounds. That door is not closed. Josh kept the door open, and here we are with the best site we can possibly get in Washington County for a homeless shelter for the single men and women. And that's behind us. There's all the services that these homeless are going to receive. Thank you very much, Josh. Thank you very much, Washington County.
Okay, so there will be more to follow. There'll be watch for postings on our website, on our Facebook page, as you can watch the progression of the shelter getting built. We're expecting February, right? So we're looking forward to that date, and I think that's about it. So thank you again for coming. I'd like, next, Craig?
Yeah, what we're going to do now is we're going to grab some shovels and pitch a little dirt just to make this official, if that's okay.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Okay. On a count of three. 1, 2, 3. Now. Now you're official. One, 2, 3, go.